Hi everybody, welcome back to the planet Hoth, and in this clip we're going to run through my level I did last week, my Empire Strikes Back level, which was called Tauntaun Rescue. Now this level wasn't my planned clip, this one. This is a fill. I've got a number of clips planned over the next couple of weeks, but Ahsoka, aka my daughter, is going to help me out, do a couple of reviews on some of my older levels. But in the UK at the moment it's exam season and she has her exams on, so as a good parent, I've told her she must study hard and she must do revision, otherwise
You shall not pass!
I'm sorry, that just made me laugh. Sorry, I had to do it. I've been trying to find a way to chuck that clip in over the last couple of weeks, but it does make me laugh on that one. But look, anyone doing exams, best of luck. Remember, if you fail, guess what? You can take them again. That's what I did. I didn't pass any of my A-levels, and I did them again, and now I'm running a computer company. So sometimes being 18 or 19 isn't the right time. You need to be a little bit older. But best luck anyway, and hope they all go well. Right, so what we're going to do now, though, is we'll just do a quick recap of last week's game, just to get the understanding of what the mechanics are and what they're involved, and then we're going to build it completely from scratch, showing you how you can slowly build up and add, or as we like to say, cook, and make the game more interactive and actually tune it to become quite a fun and enjoyable game. And like I say, I've called this clip Your First Steps in Game Development. This will cover everything for your first game and get you on the path of trying to learn how game mechanics work. So when you start the level off, you jump onto a Tauntaun and then out you go. As soon as you leave the base, a clock timer is triggered. Now I've set the timer to 1 minute 20, you can adjust this accordingly. And when that counts down, it will end the game. That is the controller, that timer will end the game. Now what we need to do is we need to put controls in that manage that time. Everything else is superficial, that is the key thing. So I've created these little fire pots. Now what I've basically got is I've got a trigger area in that area, around that pot. And as you walk into that area, it stops the clock. When you leave that area, it resets and starts the clock. Now, to let the user know that they've got it's registered, when you go inside that area, I turn that pot on so the fire appears, and then when you leave the area, it turns the pot off. So you'll see here, as I come up to another area here, I come up to it, I work it in, the fire is on. Okay, as I leave, it cuts the fire off and it restarts the timer. And I'm just using trigger areas and the clock tool to switch the item on or off. So there's two different actions. One action when you enter the area and one action when you leave the area. So that's controlling the time. Now when the time runs out, that controls that the game is ended. What you get done in between that game is basically anything you can do as you choose to happen. As you can see, I've got various enemies set up. Now another thing I've done on this version, I've zoomed in a little bit closer than planned. Last time I think I was about 45 distance. I've got into about 25, so it's made a little bit closer. Can still see quite much, but not too clear of the map, so I can't see as much. So it makes it harder finding individual characters, and we now need to go and search and find these rebels that are lying fainted on the screen. So at some point, I've got to show you a mechanic that generates random rebels to appear throughout the base. Yeah, so you can see there's none down there, and I'm looking at places that I know roughly where they pick up. There's none here, and that's the cool thing about the game. It's designed to get you to search and try and find them and try and manage that time level. And the 1 minute 20, the long time at the beginning, and it's designed for you basically just to learn where the people are. Now you can't carry rebels in spaceships, so you have to use a mount, and when you use a mount you can't then shoot and you can't also run fast, so it's like a double whammy. It slows you down. So that's another part of how the system works that I'm using to my advantage as part of the game benefit. You'll see here, go into an area, it switches the time off, leave an area, switches it off and resets the clock. Now one thing I did when I was trying to test this out, you need also the clock on and off option within the area where you drop off the people, because what happens here is there's two actions that occur here. When I drop a person into there, so when I drop a person in there and drop that off, that now sets a flag to use a different timer. So a different timer with a shorter distance now runs. So now the clock is shorter and I've got less time now to find certain characters within the screen. And I'm racing around trying to find the various different options that we've got. But it's trying to come up with what's the rules you want to apply, and then how do I apply those rules with the tools that I've got. And sometimes you don't want to think, well, this tool does this, is how I have to use it. If you think this is what I want to try and do, and then try and work out which tool to allow you to achieve that objective. It makes you more creative if you're not restricted on what's available. So here you now find I've got my third person, or sorry, second person I've got, and now the time drops down to 20 seconds. So you have another 20 seconds, so it's now even shorter. So it means I now really have to motor, otherwise I need to know, hopefully, by doing the longer session, that I've learned where these bases roughly are, so I've got a rough idea I can quickly get to them. So I know there's one somewhere over here. These things get in the way, but I'm not too sure where the hell is it. Oh, no, it's down here somewhere. But it works really well. Like, I've got 16 seconds, this is not working. Where am I going? It's somewhere down here, come on. 10 seconds, am I going to die? No. Oh, just in time. I knew it was somewhere around here. Right, reset again, I've got another 40 seconds. And as you see here, I'm going to a different part of the map now. But honestly, it's a really fun game. And if we build the whole logic up, you'll learn so much more understanding on why you're doing certain features. And I'll go through them in stages. So first of all would be the trigger areas, the areas that control the clock. Then we'll do the game generator, then we'll generate the rebels to pick up, and then we'll generate the enemies. All these have a knock-on effect. And there's more different things you can do to add, well, how do I reset this? And when do I trigger that out? Now, oh, there it is. And now, key thing here, by the way, is how you lay out the logic. Now, logic works very similar, and it's very similar into our big applications as well. So, Unreal Engine 5 works in a similar way, just got more powerful tools and more settings you can do. So, it's like a mini version of that, and it's such a cool way of programming. You should see there, I've got 10 seconds. I'm not going to have enough time to make it back, and if I don't make it back in time, then hey presto, that is it. My game is over. So let's start from scratch now, and let's now build a game. Okay. Okay, so starting on a completely blank toy box, we're going to build all the mechanics in place. So let's go straight to my Spark mode. The first thing we're going to need is a trigger area, right? So let's just turn this around. Let's do it this way around. Right, so you have to do this every run. Now, you need one trigger area for the starting point, and then as many areas you want. So for each area you want a pot, you'll need to put an extra box in on screen. So you need to put them for every other areas. You need one for your starting set, and you need these for the different areas throughout the base. Now, the other thing that you're going to need is some logic gates. So let's grab the logic gates. Okay, now we're going to do this logic gate here. So we'll do this logic here on the side. So we do when you enter the logic here, and then we'll just do one slightly below it when you exit the logic gate. Okay, you only need 2 of those. Okay, well, I say that at the moment, you only need 2 for now anyway. Right, and the other thing you need is a timer. Okay, so we've got a timer in here that will set that off. Okay, I'm going to put that on this side here at the timer. Now, I need 3 timers. Each timer, theoretically, is for the system when they jump down. So this is our first set of timers. So in here, I'm just going to change the properties of this. So go to properties. I'm going to change this to a minute. So you've got 60 seconds. Yep. So set that to 60 seconds, and it goes down. This one I'm going to set for 40 seconds. Properties, and make that 40. Okay, that's 40. And then the last one, I'm going to set this one, properties, and I'm going to set this one to 20. Which is impossible to do after that one. Okay. So they're my 3 timers. Okay. So when I go into this area, right, then theoretically I'm stopping the clock. Yeah. So in this case, new logic connection. When you enter that area, any player, so we'll just do player, right? And we'll do player 1. We'll do it for player 1 at the moment. Yeah, we're going to input into this gate. So can you input into there? Now, that's because we've gone in. So new logic connection. On output, can you reset that clock? So can you just stop it? And that just switches it off. Can you reset that clock? Now, when we're in that area, the clock stopped. But if I leave that area, can we start the clock? So new logic connection. On exit, player 1. what we're going to do in here is we're going to input into this signal, and what we're going to do here is say, right, on output from here, new logic connection, on output, can you start the clock? So that will start it, and that will stop it. Now, that works great. Now, for every area, we need to do the same logic. But now I've set the time control up. All I've got to do now is just connect this once. So I just go new logic connection on entered by a player. I could do any. No, it could be any on player 1. I'm going to input into there. Because what that does is that switches the clock off. New logic connection on output. Exit by player. Let's do any, because we're going to stop the clock. We're going to turn that one, and that will switch that one off. And the same again with the third one. New logic connection on exit by a player, and it'll be any. We're going to, I don't know what, in fact, I've forgotten what I was just doing there. So hold on a second. New logic connection on entered by a player and any. Can we switch it off? You make sure you get these the right way around, otherwise the timer won't work. New logic connection on exit by a player and any. Can we input that into there? And that will switch that timer off. So you now have that gate, these gates here, all controlling this one timer. Let's not worry about the other 2 clocks at the moment, but that will control the timer. That will stop and start the timer on the screen. But how do we know that they've stopped and timed the clock? So what we need to do now is we need to go to Toy Origins. In fact, no, we don't. We need to go to Buildings, and we need to look for, what was it, Brave set. What's Brave's called? Can never find it. It's always the last one. Isn't it always the last one you pick up? Where the flipping hell is it? That's the one. I want one of these. So I'm just going to bring this down here. That's a fire pot. That's a fire pot. And that's a fire pot. And strangely, they didn't put them all on this, which is quite good. So what we do here is new logic connection. When you enter the thing by anyone, by a player, any player. So when you enter there, can you turn that on? Oops. I said, do you see that? I put, when you enter by a player, I want to turn it on, not off. Yeah. Now when I exit this area, new logic connection, when I exit the area by a player, any, can we turn this off? Okay, and we do the same for this one. New logic connection, when entered by a player, any player, can we turn this on? And new logic connection, when we exit by a player, any, can we turn that off? Yeah, and the last one again, new logic connection, on exit by a player, did I do exit? I've got confused again. So just do on exit by a player any. Someone that's exit I chose. And we turn that off. New logic connection on entered by a player any. Can we turn that on? So that now will highlight that when we turn them on, and it will control this timer here on the screen. Right, let's move one of these. Right, so what we then need is a challenge marker. So we'll get a little challenge marker up. Boom, boom, boom. Always the wrong way. Should have gone the other way. So I need one of these. So that will start the game. And I need one of these. That's will go into control when we create this. Now, the other thing I'm going to need is scoring. So I need a scoreboard. Yeah, you got team score, but I want a scoreboard. So scoreboard goes quite good, right? And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to link the score results to this particular option. So the score results are linked to there. Okay. Now when I start the game, the first thing I'm going to do is new logic connection. Can you? When game started, can you reset the score? Which is quite good. Now, in this section, every time I chuck a friend into here, I need to, new logic connection, when I chuck a friend in, when a friend is entered, can you increment the score by 1 for player 1. Now, if I was doing player 2, I would have another one of these. Okay, so every time I chuck a friend in there, it will increase the score, and that will keep my score linked between the option. Right, the problem here is I've got to have some friends, so I'm going to do some, where's my logic gates? Now I do this, by the way, and I'll explain why, because it gives me some growth. So I'm going to create 3 logic gates here, and I need a randomizer on here, right. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is, let's go to this side. I want 3 friends. Alright, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, and the other thing I'm going to need is locators, because I don't want the friends to appear on the box. I don't want to see these squares. So my friends are going to appear wherever I place these blue dots. And those blue dots are not visible when you play the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link these locators. Locators link to this. Right, I'm going to link this one as well. So when you generate a friend, it's going to, when it generates there, it will generate where the blue dots are instead. New locator connection. Now, when I send a signal in here, so new logic connection on output, can we generate a friend? I want Rise Against the Empire because I've got that playset, and this is where I've got my Hoth guys. So I'm going to go down here. Now, again, it could be any freaking friend, but I wanted the Hoth guys, which are way down the list. God, I've got to replay this 3 times. Here we go, number 6. So he appears. Next one, new logic connection on output. Now, you could do it straight from the randomizer, but I'm not doing that. It's because I do the logic gate, because if I want to add another option, so that it creates an effect or it creates lightning, so I've gone too far, a lightning effect, it gives me other options to expand from it. So that's why I tend to use a lot of logic gates in between, like in between my commands. So if I want to add a spin-off feature, I can do that. And that becomes more apparent later you come through. But trust me, do it this way, because it allows you to give you extra growth when you start, oh, I want it to do this option from here. Okay, that's one there. New logic connection on output. What we're going to do in here, Rise Against the output. Right, so then the other thing we're going to do is we don't want the guys to be wandering around. We want them to collapse and just lie there until we pick them up. And this is why it's better using the friend generator, because it only does the last thing. So we'll pick out one more of these guys here down the list. We're almost there. Okay, we'll do number 2. So what we do here is we go into the properties of these, and we say that the guy's behavior is they've fainted, because we do not want them to move. Okay, so please make sure you faint, so you just lie there on the ground. Okay, we do properties, behavior, set them to faint. Now I'm flying through this, should do this all in about 28 minutes. We're quite flying through here. But you can see how I'm building up layers. So how do I get the friends to appear? So properties, behavior, and it's just building up different sections, and this is stuff that I've picked over the time. And you've seen these in my other clips. I'm going to faint. Cool. So now I've got to do is which one I'm going to do. I want one of these to random. So this little randomizer, so new logic connection, when number 1 is triggered, it will input into there. It will generate that one. When number 2 is generated, so new logic connection, when 2 is triggered, it will do that. And when 3 is triggered, it will do that. Now, this is the problem, okay? That's great. So this will choose randomly 3 people to appear. But what triggers this? Well, obviously when we start the game. So new logic connection. When we start the game, that triggers this option. And we're going to have then 3 people to apply. So this is the type of thing you look at. You're looking at elements that create it. And your whole game is around about triggers. What causes the next event to occur. So when I go and pick one of these guys up and I chuck them into here, they've done their job. So the score, we've done it, that the score will change. So what we can do here, new logic connection, when player 1's score changes, yeah, can we have another person? So can we input into here, please? Can we action that? So it will then generate another person. Otherwise, I'm just stuck with the one person. So that will loop it through. Now, one thing you have to be wary with the score is set to only be 3 goals. We want it unlimited, because we wanted to say we'll put 100 in there, because we don't know how many you want to do. Right, so that, excuse my friend, will do quite well. Right, so now that we've got that working and we've got the score, how do we get the timer to move through the list? Okay, now what we're going to do now, I'm going to use a clever range of logic gates. Right, so this is going to line up here. This one's going to line up here. This one's going to line up here. And this is going to line up here. Right. So, when we put one person into this score, we're going to input a signal into this box. Alright, I need 3 of these. You're going to have to bear with me on here. So, I'll just bring that back a little bit. Okay. So, when this score changes, so new logic connection, when this target is changed by 1, so we've got a scores change, can you input into this box? So it means we've dropped one thing into there. So when you drop into there, brilliant. Now, on the output of that, what we're going to do here is, so new logic connection on output, can we close these gates? Right? So new logic connection on output, can we close those gates? Right, so they are now closed. So when I go into this area now, the signal will not go through to that timer. It's stopped. It can't go through. So it can't switch it off and it can't switch it on, which is very annoying. Yeah. So as you'll notice in here, this goes onto this timer and it goes into the timer box. When entered on output, it does a reset. So it's now stopped. Right. So what we're going to do is, well, okay, now you've changed that there. The next time we do it, we'll reset the other clock. So we're now going to move into this clock here. So when we leave this trigger area, it will go into this one. So, well, that's blocked. Well, if that's the case, can you do new logic connection? New logic connection. When input is blocked, we can't go that way. It's going to go this way instead, go sideways. Can you input into there? And when you input into there, can you, new logic connection on output, can you start the new timer? Okay, and that's like, now if I go back into the base, it comes to this option. This is locked, so new logic connection on input blocked. Can you input into this item? And what I'd like you to do here, new logic connection on output. Can you reset? Okay, now the problem I've got here is the next time I put a signal in, it goes to this box, goes back in this box, but that's now stopped. I now need to move on to the other 2 items. So in this case, what I do is when it does the first time, when the first time it comes through, I also wanted to do new logic connection on output. Can you go into this box here? Can you input that into there? And that's going to go back and close the gate. So new logic connection on output, can we close this gate? So the second time you get the clock, when you do the second one, we're going to say, right, now we're going to move you to this one. So new logic connection, when input blocked, yeah, can you input into this one? And what this does now, it says, right, we're down the second. So new logic connection on output, we're going to close these gates. Close them. New logic connection on output, we're going to close those ones. So this time we go into this one, that is blocked. We come across here, this is now blocked. So we dial new logic connection, input blocked. Can we go into here? Input, new logic connection on output. Can we reset? Yep. New logic connection when input blocked. Can we go into this one? And can we do input, new logic connection on output? Can we reset? Can we start? Sorry, not reset. That's can we start? So that will start. So that's the option there. So they all move down, and they now change the other group, and it will get all 3 gates to work, which is brilliant. So this now, when these timers expire, they finish the game. So new logic connection, when time expired, complete the game. Yeah. New logic connection, when time expired, can we complete the game? New logic connection, when time expired, can we complete the game? Now all we need to do here to set this off is that we need to set the game across. So we're going to go into the settings of this game here, and we're going to go to properties, and we're going to change this to say I don't like the thing. Where is it? We're going to go down here. It's not all vehicles. You can only use mounts, which is great. Which means the only mount you can use is going to be the Tauntaun, which is down here on the list. So we just in case you lose your Tauntaun and we can't do it, it always guarantees the screen. Now the only problem I've got is I've now got to think of what happens at the end of the game. Now at the end of the game, all these gates are closed, so which means I'm only going to be on 30 seconds. So what I do need here is I need a little mini reset. So move this one here, copy this, copy that. I'm going to have a little reset one, so a brand new one, which is my reset button. So this one here is my reset. And what this says is, new logic connection on output, can you open that? Right, new logic connection on output. Can you open these? Got to reset them up and open them all back up again. New logic connection on output. Can we open this one? Alright. New logic connection on output. Can we open this one? And new logic connection on output. Can we open that one? So those are open. So when we start a game, can we reset that block? So new logic connection on start, game started. Can we make sure that those are all set to open? Whoops, didn't want to do that. Whoops, did that wrong. Did that wrong. Where's my game marker? Delete that one. That was wrong. So this should be, sorry, new logic connection on game started. Can we input into here? And that will reset those options. Now all I need to do is, if I move this over here, so I bring that into an area, boom, boom, boom. And to make sure we're in that area, we will grab this, and we will place these inside, boom. And we'll do the same with these ones, so we move these into here. And we will position them in the game. Right, so should we test it, see if it works? So, Soka goes in. Now, by going into the game, you theoretically are automatically starting a timer. So it goes on the screen. So the clock's actually been reset. So we start the challenge. And the way the timer goes. Right, so we go out. Hopefully one of these generates. Look, a guy's and he's fainted. We've got 58 seconds and the clock starts because we've left the area. So we pick this guy up. Let's go over to here. Does the clock stop? Clock does stop. Look at that. Let's leave this one. Fire should go off, which it does. We jump in here. He's dropped off the screen, which triggers another guy to appear. So we go get the other guy. And we move the guy across. Pick this guy up. We bring them across. Again, time now reduced. Shorter time. Clock stopped. That's worked. We jump out of here. Drop in. Lower it down. Excellent. Two people go. Oh, we're smashing this. We've got 20 seconds though this time. Grab this one. Quick, 20 seconds. Get to the... We'll go for the far one. We'll test it. That should stop the clock. It does. Go back out. And hey presto, that, my friends, is your game. That is all the logic you've got. Done. Now if I come out now and it just keeps repeating until they die. And if it doesn't, when the timer runs out, my game is going to be over. How easy is that? And you are now creating a fully interactive game with different logics and different paths. And it just shows you how those items are set up. So look, the game should now end. And it does. And I scored 2. Or did I get 3? Which is brilliant. There you go, score 3. Right, so then what I've done here is I've just now expanded that up. So you'll see here, these are all my little trigger areas. I've got a trigger area here, which is connected, which is linked back to my paths. I've got my trigger path over here, another one with a pot. I've got a trigger path over here, and I've just basically put landing spots all over the place. I've got a locator where an enemy appears. I've got a locator where enemies appear as well, but I put that across. I've got different places, so different pots. So all I've done, depending on how many you want, I just repeated that process again and again all over the system. And I just paste these around, and then I just let this just randomly build a maze of things where I have to go and find them. So you'll see I've just put all these different logic gates, all different places. So you see that path going across there. That path goes all the way over through that box. And I've set up these little paths. And that is roughly it. I've just expanded on it, just moved them about. But they all go back. But first of all, line them all up first in your one box. And then you pick them up and then you move them. And that is basically your stepping stone. The only thing I've done on here, obviously, I've then added enemies. So one thing I've got here to do is I've triggered in where a load of enemies appear. So I've got little enemies appearing on the screen and a little delay. But you can look at those later down the line. But that's roughly how I've done it. And then you just create your own landscape to the wherever way you want it. If there's no wrong or right way on your landscape. It's up to you. Just make sure the gap is wide enough when you test it for you to jump. And that, my friend, is how we've done it. I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial. I hope you give it a go. Because if you get the understanding of this and you can expand on this, then you're on your first steps on becoming a game creator. Best of luck. If you do build it, let me know. Let me see how you do it. If you don't, by the way, it is coming out in my save file when I finally do release that, and that is coming later this year, as mentioned. I hopefully got another clip coming soon, Ahsoka between exams. So take care, guys, and I will all speak to you soon.